Welcome to Don't Quote Me on That. One day we will have an intro, but today is not that day.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Kalina,
And I'm Eleanor.
and welcome back to Don't Quote Me on That, where we kind of talk about movies. And everyone, I have fantastic news. We are, in fact, a we again.
We are.
We are not talking about a movie,
No, but
but
baby
you can't have it
steps.
all.
No. And I also have a functioning microphone that works.
And it is present. I also have a functioning microphone that works, but I think mine looks more official, but Eleanor looks like they're having more fun.
I'm having so much fun. We did take longer in setup because I had to put his little hat on, and I don't think it's put on right.
Yours is really fuzzy. Mine are like, I mean, I have it in here, but mine are like these ones. I'll show you. Like these ones.
Well, mine came with interchangeable tops. The fun part
Oh.
about this thing is I kind of knew that my microphone didn't fit, and so I bought a new one that also doesn't fit.
Well, it's the thought that counts.
Um, Sometimes it is. Anyway,
Anyway, what are we up to? Do you have any recaps? Life
recaps.
recaps, updates.
Oh, yeah. Well,
We
on the
haven't seen you in a
media
little while.
side of things, today, and by today I mean yesterday, I started watching Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
I am now a couple episodes into season 2. And this was back when TV was real, and season 1 was like 22, 23 episodes, so I have been
Good
in it.
stuff. You've been powering through.
It's like they made Pretty Little Liars, but for adults. Even though I'm pretty sure it was the other way
Pretty Little Liars
around.
is also for adults.
I also listened to an album by Annie DeRusso that was really good. It's called Super Pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the Beaches' new album that I don't remember the name of. And then I listened to Lydia Knight's album, Parody of Pleasure. Highly recommend. I did have a day where, well, not a day, a week where I drove like 16 hours across 3 days. So I listened to a lot of music.
I've never heard of any of these people, but I
Well,
trust Eleanor.
I'll make you listen to one of them.
Okay. I don't have any media updates. I just watched him. I talked about it on the show. You weren't there.
Who?
Him. This is a movie?
Is it a parody of Her? The Siri movie?
No.
Oh.
It's it's got Marlon Wayans and this fella named Tyreek Withers who's from Florida, and if you know he's from Florida, everything about him makes sense.
That's how I feel about
Unfortunately.
you.
What else did I listen to? Nothing. I don't think I've listened to anything new lately.
I
Oh, I
tried.
watched a couple of Bollywood movies.
Oh, new
Yeah.
ones?
New to me.
Okay, that counts.
You know, I don't watch a Bollywood movie past 2007 on
You
principle.
shouldn't.
I don't believe in them. Well, if they are singing, I don't watch them past 2007. I watched one that was it's called Article 15. It's about like the caste system and it's like a cop movie. Um, that one's probably like 2022, 23, I want to say. But if it's like singing and a romance, I do not watch them past 2007 because then they start kissing on screen. And like, I don't know what we're doing here. We need to be respectable young ladies
They're
and men.
they're kissing.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Is this
In a
before
Bollywood
they're
movie, if they
married?
like, uh huh,
Oh.
scandalous. The most romantic thing you can do in a Bollywood movie is you get like her dupatta, her like shawl, gets caught on like the man's bracelet. That's the most romantic thing. That's the most amount of touching I will allow in a Bollywood movie. Okay, can't hold hands. Don't look at each other too long. Definitely don't kiss. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. That makes you make a lot more sense.
Thank you. I
Um
know.
anyway, today we are talking about arguably the best band from Australia. Certainly the only band from Australia I've ever heard about.
Which is high
The
praise.
no, the Veronicas are also from Australia. The second best
Sure.
band from Australia.
I will give you the title of best band from Australia. Ignore Eleanor.
People
I
usually
think
do.
probably my second favorite band that I can think of right now. Third favorite band? they're up there.
We'll stop
Top
you
three.
now so you don't start thinking of more bands that are better.
Top 3.
I would
say
say
top 5 to be safe.
they're definitely 100% in my top 5 bands. Depending on the week, they're my top 2 band.
Yeah.
We are doing a first, latest, greatest of maybe the only band with 5 self-titled albums, 4 self-titled albums.
It is impressive.
It is impressive. And it's creative.
Also, I'm sorry. I don't know if you. I don't think you all can see. This is up to editing, Kalina. But I don't think you all can see Eleanor's PowerPoint because I'm lazy. I'm not putting it in there. It's called First Sauce, Latest Sauce, Greatest Sauce.
Yes. That was my
So that's
placeholder
a hint.
title. Well, I tried to find something funnier and then it never came.
No, this is top tier.
Yes, we're doing something new where we have a PowerPoint. Mostly because I needed to make a PowerPoint about something or my brain was going to explode.
I'm a visual learner, so this is great.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're here. Let's start with the main question. Who is Five Sauce? How did we end up here?
We didn't say who we were talking about.
At all. I thought that was
this
obvious.
This is a first, latest, greatest for 5 seconds of summer. If you didn't get from our first sauce, greatest sauce, latest sauce.
Yes.
We love 5 seconds of summer.
We do.
They just came out with a single 2 weeks ago, maybe, by the time you're watching this. 3, about then. They've got an album coming out November 14th, which is also, I talked about this in the last episode, 5 Seconds of Summer's next album comes out November 14th. Now You See Me 3 also comes out November 14th. So I will be booked and busy that weekend.
Big day for annoying people.
Big day for annoying people. But we wanted to chat about them because we like any excuse to talk about 5 Seconds of Summer.
That is true.
I will hand you off to Elanor now.
Speaking of any excuse to talk about 5 Seconds of Summer, I'll take any excuse to talk about One Direction. One Direction, I believe, me personally, plays a pivotal role in 5 Seconds of Summer's success. But like also they were kind of on their way there before One Direction came in. I just wanted to talk about them a little bit.
I was looking at their Wikipedia page because I was like, Elanor can't be bearing the burden of responsibility. I'm a well-practiced researcher now because I've been alone. And they opened for like Hot Shell Ray, I think it was.
Yeah, they did.
Before they turned
Honestly,
One Direction, which I think
that
is
would have
crazy.
meant more to me as a child than One Direction 5 Sauce.
I would have loved to have been there. Also, sorry, just before I forget, anytime you have an idea of something unrelated to the show we want to talk about, we have to save it for the end, okay? I did that on my last episode. It didn't go half an hour over the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I'm having thoughts.
Okay. And we'll just... Okay. If I have a relevant slide, you can bring them up then, but... So, the time, 2011. The place, I don't know, somewhere in Australia, okay? It's a big place. Okay, Kalina, have you ever been involved with some sort of creative endeavor?
Well, I read your bullet points.
Don't do that.
The answer is yes. The question is, have you ever needed another person, right?
Correct.
To help with a creative endeavor?
Yes.
I categorically would say no, except for this show.
No, I don't think that's true. For example, at one point, there were 3 people somewhere in Australia who needed a drummer. Much like at one point you needed a photographer.
But I feel like that's all connected to the one, like that's the one thing that I did. But historically, no, I do all by myself. Thank you very much.
No, but
it's the only reason I'm not in an award-winning.
No, you did need a. I think you know
band.
What I'm trying to do here, and it's really frustrating for me that you're not letting me.
Oh yes, I did. Yes. Just remembered. Correct.
So at one point, 5 seconds. Well, not 5 seconds of summer. These 3 boys were in a predicament where they had a show coming up and they needed a drummer. And so they called up a drummer named Ashton Irwin and said, "Hey, can you help? Are you free?
Please."
Which
crazy to book a gig and you don't have a drummer, but like. One of my other favorite stories about 5 Seconds of Summer is that when they were trying to decide who was going to play the bass, they were in class talking about the band, and they were like, oh, who's going to play the bass? And another friend said to them, well, which one of you is the worst at guitar? And Callum said they both turned and looked at him, and he goes, well, I guess I'm playing the bass. And I thank God for that every day.
Truly.
Best decision.
Yeah,
Sorry.
They had a show booked. They already had their bass player. and they needed a drummer. And so, according to some reports, and by that I mean I watched a YouTube video, Ashton was told that they booked like a pretty substantial gig, and then it was a pub with like 10 people.
Yeah, but imagine 10 people
Oh, it's
like
more
in real life
substantial than
standing in
zero,
front of you.
or like
Yeah.
your garage. Like, if
Come on,
I
Ashton,
was
all right?
told by 3 17-year-old boys they had a massive gig and it was 10 people, I guess they
But
were
yeah.
younger than that. Anyway, that's how they came together. One
Seconds
would
of Summer.
argue that friendship is the meaning of 5 Seconds of Summer. But who's to say?
Actually, I do think about this sometimes because Elanor is my favorite person in the whole world. I think we all know this, right?
I did.
And no, when I think about 5 Seconds of Summer, I do think part of the appeal, which like obviously we'll get into as we talk about their music, for us is I think something that comes through everything they do musically, just like marketing. Like they look like they're just having their friends having fun the entire time. And Eleanor and I, like, I don't think we if no one ever watched this, we'd still sit down and record. Like it's just
Well,
I have to talk to Eleanor
my
for
grandma
an
would
hour
watch
and a
it.
half.
My grandma will watch it.
Yes,
for
your grandma
sure.
would watch it. My mom has given up on us, unfortunately. So it's just your grandma holding down the fort.
Thanks, Anne.
But like we would still have fun, you know, we just do it because it's fun to do. And
Yeah.
like again, not to sound any which way, I categorically do not like to participate in things with other people. But like Eleanor, like there's nothing I don't want to do with Eleanor, you know? And that's how I feel like 5 Seconds of Summer makes their music. All right, that's as nice as I'm getting, so.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say it for the end.
Swiftly on.
Wait, I have some points.
Oh.
Well, let me see your next slide and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
No, I have some points. I see your next slide. Okay. So I did my little bit of research. They formed in 2011. I think they're like 14, 15-ish, right? They put out covers on YouTube, which I think that was like the first. I think I did see them not too long after they started. I watched their Teenage Dirtbag cover. I was having a Teenage Dirtbag
that tracks
phase. Listen to any single cover of that song. Great song. And then they went on tour One Direction. I went, no, thank you. I was like not like other girls, you know,
of course,
but like
not.
different, not like that. But yeah, they formed in 2011. They toured with One Direction in 2013. I think 2012 was when they did the Hot Shell Ray tour. They all have solo stuff, which I also wanted to bring up because I think that's going to come into play.
Don't worry, I got those.
Okay, sorry, forget I said anything. Okay. One thing I thought was interesting, just in relation to the One Direction point, is I think I was watching like a Callum Hood interview about a solo stuff, and he was saying that like that was a big decision for them to make. Is that the direction they wanted to go in? Because One Direction was like much more poppy than the stuff they were putting out, and they were like, well, he was like, obviously we went, and it was the best decision we could have made. But like kind of that like creatively as a band, especially when you're so early in your career, how is this going to affect what you can make musically? But I think it worked out for them. Yeah,
I think it's definitely like a very early kind of shoehorning into the boy band. Not to say the B word so early, but like you can't tour with a boy band and then not expect female audiences. Unless you are a female band, and then don't worry, they will hate you and want you dead.
The men will too, so you don't really win anywhere.
That is true, but you know, at least there's money in teenage girls, because why? They have dads who want to buy their love. Or moms. Kalina and I were teenage girls once. We can say this.
I mean, in a way, I'm still a teenage girl, you know?
Exactly. Also,
the whole whatever you listen to at 13, 14, 15 will
will
follow you around for the rest of your life.
I just had a mean thought, but I will save it to the end of the episode. Thank you so much. It's not related to 5 Sauce.
Okay.
However,
what is related to 5 Sauce, however?
Yes, is their first song. So in first, latest, greatest, we talk about bands or musical artists. First song, their latest song, and then our favorites. um, which is very hard because it kind of narrows down the bands that we know well enough to do this as a
Yeah.
collective. But Five Sauce is on that list, and their first ever song is Out of My Limit. It was released in December 2012, so a year-ish, 2 years-ish after their first gig as a foursome. It was written by Mr. Callum Hood and Mr. Luke, last name.
Do you not know his last name?
No, I don't know his last name. I don't need
Luke
to.
Hemmings, Mr. Hemmings.
Luke Hemmings, thank you, yes. And I pulled a quote about Out of My Limit, where Michael is, again, just talking about how it started because Callum had an idea and they all just went into the studio, and Callum had a passion for songwriting and he helped discover who they are as a band, which again, everything kind of comes from the band in a way that you can kind of tell from the start, I would say. Also, Out of My Limit, goated. Can I say
Goated. Also, just when we do first song, we say first, like we do first single,
that?
just to clarify. Which I think is fair because I think first song, especially like 5 Seconds of Summer, they had an EP. They obviously didn't have any singles off of it, and then Out of My Limit is off of the second EP, Somewhere New, and then they put it on an album later. So I think first single is good because it's something that they collectively, like the artist, whatever artist we're talking about, has decided is like representative of them as a band. Whereas like when you're making music, yes, your first song you ever write is going to be representative of you of a band because you wrote it and put it together, but it's not as polished, obviously, as something could be. Whereas where you pick a single, you're like, okay, well, this is the best we are capable of, at least at this point in time.
And I think Five Sauce, for the most part, doesn't have what I have coined, because I only know two bands if you include Five Sauce. I call it One Direction disease, where the singles you pick are for some reason the worst songs on the album. Five Sauce does not have that, I don't think, in a way
Okay,
that
I was
is
gonna say.
refreshing.
I was like, definitely disagree. That was the point you're making. No, for sure. I think they do a really good job of picking stuff that is representative of them, representative of the album, which is something we think is really important, is like picking a single that's like, okay, what's the vibe of this album that I'm going to listen to? And they're strong songs. I will argue it's not always like they're, at least in my opinion, not the best song on the album, but it's definitely like top 3, top 5.
Yeah. And even if it's not the best song of the album, it's definitely like, oh, that is a this album song.
Yeah.
Miss Cleo, do you like Out of My Limit? I think it's a fantastic song.
I do like Out of My Limit. I haven't listened to a ton of like, at least not intentionally, a ton of older 5 Seconds of Summer stuff because again, when they first came out, I was in my kind of like what I was saying earlier. When they went on tour with One Direction, I was like, oh, they're gonna veer very clearly into this pop sound, which just like wasn't my shtick. But I watched the music video also for this, which was really funny, and I think it's cute. I think almost, you know how like a lot of times we say like Fall Out Boy is very definitive of the genre. Green Day, like if I listen to a Fall Out Boy song, I'm never like, this sounds like this person. Like I'm like, that's a Fall Out Boy song. Fall Out Boy is like the standard. I do that a lot with Green Day as well. And when I listened to this for this episode, I felt that way, as I felt like this was so, there's no other band I would be like, oh, this kind of has elements of like, this sounds like this band of like a contemporary of them. I'm like, this is a 5 Seconds of Summer song. But I also think part of the issue with that is, for a time, I feel like 5 Seconds of Summer and One Direction were so definitive, or like those were the two bands of the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? So like, and they're like, even though I would say they veered poppy for a while, they're much less pop than One Direction is, obviously. So like, it is very easy to identify that sound. I feel like this song does a really really good job, and also like their early stuff. But this song does a really good job of straddling the line between like pop and pop punk. They're very much on the line, and I think that tour is what just pushed them in one direction, over the other. I think lyrically, I think one, it's good that they were writing their stuff. Two, it feels very young, but not in a way that's like stupid. You know, like it's a very young sentiment. She's saying, you're just a little bit out of my limit. Like, oh, this girl's just like a little bit out of my league, but I'm gonna get her. Like 14, you got a crush on like a 16-year-old or something. It's like that.
Absolutely.
And it's like fair enough. Like, there's not a lot of depth to it, but it gets the point across for their audience and for who they are at the time, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. It's like, yeah, you probably have a crush on a girl who's a little bit older than you and won't give you the time of day. And then I also think, and this is gonna come up with a lot of the songs we talk about, is a lot of their older stuff. I feel like some of the lines, if not the whole song, if you tweaked one or two things, maybe instrumentally, but like lines could still work in like stuff they make now. They say, and in my mind now, I've been over this 1,000 times. And if you told me that was like off of Calm or Youngblood, I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
it fits the vibe.
Even
So like,
5 yeah.
yeah, so they're very clear on their sound from the beginning, which again, I think everything they do stems from their connection as friends. So that's so solid. Everything else is solid.
I do think Out of My Limit also, wanting women you can't have is a core tenet of the Five Sauce
Yeah.
discography.
It just gets like,
It just gets
I'll
sadder.
talk about it later. Yeah, it gets sadder. One, I think it's really interesting to have a guitar solo on your like first single.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, the guy can shred. Like, you guys haven't really proven yourself. You're like, well, just let him go
We
for
got
it,
him.
which is fair.
It's very like 2013, but I'm pretend hardcore. Not in a
Yeah,
bad
no,
way.
it's
Just
very
in a
2010s punk pop.
Yeah.
I can hear a little bit of Green Day. Like, I know what we're going for, but also like they're very, I don't know.
Okay. As Kalina mentioned, there were a number of EPs before the first album. The very, very first one I did not include a photo of because I thought the photos I kept finding were fan made when that was just the album. I'm so sorry. It's literally a black screen that just says Five Sauce Unplugged on the front of it. I did not register as a real album.
Canva wasn't around yet, okay? They had to make do. They're like an MS Paint.
Really? But they had Somewhere New, what Kalina mentioned. They also had She Looks So Perfect, and then Don't Stop, which came out before their first album, which I don't think anyway, they put out things in a very confusing order. I do think that they were really trying to push this I'm 14 and hardcore, not in a bad way, just in a like a your mom will
14.
still let you listen to us kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's cute. You got a lot of like the big pop art kind of styles. And then 2012 to 2013, they're still mostly hanging out in Australia. They had that Hot Shell Ray gig. November 6th, 2012, Mr. Louis Tomlinson tweeted about Five Sauce. I do have to imagine that there's no way Louis just like found them on YouTube and started tweeting.
Yeah.
Like the conversations to open had probably already been in production.
Yeah. I mean, when is this tweet from? End of 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't pull Hot Shell Ray and not have people talk.
Yeah.
At the time.
Excuse you.
What
is Hot Shell Ray up to?
Honestly, nothing you need to concern yourself with.
Okay. All right. Noted.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, apparently Louis Tomlinson and Liam Payne, RIP from One Direction, owned a portion of one of the businesses that Five Sauce set up. I always thought that they were signed to the same record label or signed to Louis Tomlinson's record label. Apparently not correct. They were never on the same record label. They just toured together, but there was some sort of like financial incentive where two members of or at one point all of the members of One Direction made money off of their music. So there was business entanglings, just not in the way that I thought that there were. But yeah, like Kalina mentioned, they supported One Direction for a portion of the Take Me Home tour, which I believe was the third tour for One Direction. And then once they were done with that tour, they had a sold out Australia tour, and then they went back to touring with One Direction. And during that second opening leg is when their first album came out. And by the time their first album came out, because they'd already supported One Direction on tour, they already had those EPs out. They had, I would say, a healthy wealth of music. 5 Seconds of Summer comes out, the album. That's their first album. They did
Not the
not
band.
all come out as gay as much as some members of the fandom wished they would have. We have
However, if you guys wait till 2025, Michael, what is that man's last name?
Clifford.
Clifford. Michael Clifford does do some fan service for y'all. So,
He does?
oh yeah, I'll tell you later.
We gotta pause this. So 5 Sauce 5. No, 5 Sauce 1.
5 Sauce.
5 Sauce. The singles from 5 Seconds of Summer album. She Looks So Perfect, which honestly plagued me as somebody who worked retail later in high school. Don't Stop.
Yeah.
Amnesia, and Good Girls, which is a little bit of a roller coaster of singles. Going from Amnesia to Good Girls is crazy, but also, again, very emblematic of what you're going to find in the album and also of their sound at the time. This album,
I think like 5 Sauce's discography exists between Amnesia and Good Girls. Like
it
everything
really does.
falls between those 2 points.
Because Good Girls are bad. I can't listen to that song. I had to skip it. I really tried for this and I couldn't do it. It's like Good Girls and One Thing by One Direction just kind of trigger, I don't know, whatever part in my brain was still bullied in middle school about this.
Activates it.
Yeah.
Like a sleeper agent.
It really does. Any other general thoughts about this album?
Amnesia, kind of like the Good Girl sleeper agent, is if it hits me at the right time, I like cannot listen to that song. Because I drove by all the places we used to hang out getting wasted. And that music video is like ridiculously sad, even though like it has
It's
nothing to do with the
already-
context of the song. It's still so sad.
So my beef with She Looks So Perfect is like, who made this mixtape? Because I know for a fact you didn't. Because in '94, you were an infant. You're giving your dad's mixtape to a girl you want to bone?
Uh-huh.
I don't like it.
Game recognizes game.
You know what? Fair enough. We are now moving on to Kalina's favorite portion of the evening, where we talk about her favorite song. The thing about Kalina, to start with, I will give her her moment, but to start, Miss Kalina is an underground queen. You will not be finding this song on anywhere in the US. It was released on the Japanese version of the album and on the Don't Stop EP that was apparently just never released in the US. This song is written by Luke Hemmings, Callum Hood, and some broad named John Feldman, who I think is in another band. I'm gonna let Kalina take it away from here.
Hello. It's me. I'm really mad that my favorite song is so early on, but it's okay. My favorite song is Wrapped Around Your Finger. As Elanor said, you cannot stream it in the US, and I have to tell you, when I moved back to America, it was like on my playlist, but like just grayed out, and it hurt my heart every single time I had to look at it. But that's okay, because I have a wonderful YouTube video, all right? It's so angsty. I think basically, first of all, the song is like not complicated at all. It's probably about 6 lines that they just repeat. The verses are the same. They sing the chorus about 3 times. I eat it up every single time, okay? But he's wrapped around your finger. You just got him wrapped around your finger. He's so in love with you. He's standing outside your window, throwing rocks at midnight. You met me in your backyard, okay? I could just recite the song. It's 5 lines, right? But sound-wise, they get to be more poppy because they're so angsty in their lyrics. They're so, this girl doesn't love me and life is so hard. Let me get out of this town. So then they get to be real poppy, like sound-wise. So I think that helps them, like, I think is if the sound is poppy, it's easier to market, obviously, than if your lyrics are. You know what I mean? This kind of has like an electro pop vibe, which normally I don't like that electronic sound. It works here. I am a Michael girl for the duration of this song. This is Michael's best work. I don't care what he does in the future. Peak Michael Clifford here, okay? This, also in the Teenage Dream cover.
Peak.
Fantastic. Peak Michael Clifford. Instrumentally, I think this builds very well. It starts off So they do a really good job also, I think, of letting their songs breathe is how I phrase it. I don't like when every single song from an artist, like the song starts and they're singing right away. They like kind of have this like synthy sort of sound coming in. They build, it builds to the chorus. It's a great crowd song. Speaking of crowd song, actually, everybody, hello. Eleanor and I went to go see the 5 Seconds of Summer show. Okay, their tour in 2023. They were doing dice songs. Okay, they're tossing the dice around, wrapped around your fingers on the dice. I'm losing my mind. Eleanor, I think, is realizing how crazy I am for the first time, or the 10th time. Wrapped around your finger is the dice song that was played at our show. I could have died 20 minutes later.
You almost did.
It would have been good, you know? Because what are the chances? Anyway, unrelated, but wrapped around your
It was
finger
a
was.
6-sided dice, so it's like
You
a
want to do
weird
some math
6.
right now for me?
No, because I don't like your tone.
But wrapped around your finger was my dice song, and that is my biggest flex in life, I do think. Um, we got another guitar solo, which I think this is again just this. This is Michael's song. You had me wrapped around your finger is the chorus. He just repeats this, I think, about 7 times. But Michael Clifford, which we'll talk about in another song as well, is so good at like conveying 15 emotions in one line. Like he's like, you had me wrapped around your finger, and he sounds sad. You had me wrapped around your finger, and he sounds like almost upset about it. You had me wrapped around your finger. He sounds like willing to forgive her. Okay, I'll take you back. It's okay. And it's just killer. It also reminds me of a couple other. They do bridges really well. 5 Seconds of Summer, I think, kill a bridge every single time. And they have Empty Wallets. He says, I always believed in second chances. I always believed in you. For some reason, like the delivery of wrapped around your finger makes me think about that. And also, how do you make it look so easy in another song that we will talk about a little while later. But in conclusion, Wrapped Around Your Fingers, 5 Seconds of Summer's best work. Michael Clifford can do no wrong. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Moving on, I kind of gave up on documenting all the EPs. Just assume that, especially in these early days, every time there's an
an EP.
album, there's like 3 EPs that go with it. And some of them have just songs from the album, and some of them don't for some reason. Who knows? October 15th. So they're also sticking very in line with the One Direction album schedule, where it's a new album every year. This is a year and a handful of months after the first album came out. We get Sounds Good, Feels Good. And for some personal lore, if we will, by the time Sounds Good, Feels Good came out, there had been some shifts with Five Sauce. And by some shifts, I mean, I had to give them up. 2015, we all know what happened. Earlier that year, Zayn had left One Direction, and it had really just taken all of my time. And I had decided that I hated 5 Seconds of Summer. I don't know if I blamed them for the divorce or if I just had too much on my plate. But I every time I listen to this album, think it's the first time I've listened to this album.
Yeah.
I maybe I did listen to it at the time and it just left no lasting impression. I remember She's Kinda Hot came out. That was the first single. Anything else from this album? Couldn't tell you.
I like vaguely remember watching a music video for one of them, but it was bad. So then block that out. I wanted to like She's Kind of Hot, but I couldn't. Love it now.
I pulled this very funny quote. It was very like Kylie Jenner realizing things.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, with the first album, we were 16 years old when we wrote it. But now we've been on tour for 4.5 years. We've experienced stuff. We've written about a lot of different things on this album because we're older and we've experienced more of life. So we've got more to talk about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't take who wrote this quote, I think, to preserve them, but there are only 4 options.
So
Also, I think
I'm gonna say it wasn't Callum because that boy does not talk.
correct. I did
So
not find a
three
quote
three
from him at
three
all.
chances here.
This album, however, went #1 in Australia, the US, and the UK, and other countries, but like for them, those are kind of the big markers. Surprised me. However, that said, one of my favorite 5 Seconds of Summer songs is on this album.
You're so funny.
It was written by 2 people in the band, by Luke and Callum. However, it also had a team of other writers. Um, there were like 7 people who wrote on this song, and I don't know how, because the song, which is called Castaway, is not a very tough song. Um,
No.
it sounds like they're heartbroken pirates, but in a very Fall Out Boy way.
When I went to look this up to listen to it, I was looking everything on YouTube, and you type in Castaway, and the first thing that came up was Castaway at the Backyardigans, and I was like, that's actually a banger, also.
It really is. I have only ever heard this song at like full volume in my car because I hear the
Mhm.
first 2 seconds and then I just turn it all up. I don't know what it sounds like in a normal setting, but I think I've only ever listened to it in its peak setting, and I highly recommend.
Yes, it's a very good song. This is like I said I tried to kind of get back into them here, but I thought it was like kind of cringe. Like I just couldn't fully commit to them yet. And then I said thank you to Eleanor for sharing this with me because I don't remember like starting to like 5 seconds of summer. It was like I remember this. I tried to and it didn't work. And then all of a sudden Eleanor and I were 20 also. And I was like, oh my god, this is a good band. Like I love this band. I swear by this, swear down by this band. Um, so thank you.
I forgot, like I definitely knew they were a band when they first started making music. And then I definitely knew they were a band when Youngblood came out. I thought they had just kind of stopped for.
Yeah, don't know what happened in between. It was like one day I woke up and Eleanor and I were like, "You want to talk about 5 seconds of summer?" And I was like, "Actually, this is my favorite band in the entire world now.
Yes.
Thank you." But on Castaway, they do this well. Again, they build instrumentally. They like kind of build to a point of tension. We hit the chorus. You get that release. It's very nice. This is a really good crowd song as well. Eleanor and I talk about crowd songs a lot. I like when there's a song that you can sing along to that, like at a live show the audience can get involved in a way that's not like they feel like they're singing along like how they do in their cars. Like you feel like you're a part of it. Um, and I think part of what helps them have such great crowd songs, so they have a ton of them, is because they're a 4 piece, and they do a very good job of splitting the singing time. Although I did see an interview Callum did, and he was saying how like as they went a little further along, they did try to primarily push Luke as the main singer. But then you still got these 3 other guys; they can all sing in their own right. So they're always doing like at least a 3 person kind of chorusy backing vocal. It's very easy for the crowd to get involved. Um, the build to the chorus kind of sounds like you're speeding through a tunnel, like that sound you hear, and then it's how do we get so far away from where we left off yesterday? And again, to the kind of like my wrapped around your finger point is they take these simple lines, these simple ideas, but deliver them in such a way that it's sad and it's angry and it's like all of these emotions that you could connect with all at once you can connect with individually. um and back to my Michael Clifford point. Michael has a very distinct pop punk voice, so I think they do a good job of, we'll talk about the balancing of the line. They do a good job of, let's say they have Michael sing a song, so it's got that sort of grit to it, so then they can go a little bit poppier with the sound. Or if they have like a sadder song, maybe the vocal delivery or the instrumentals like somewhere kind of heighten the emotion in another way. And I think I saw another quote from Luke this time, and he said something about like someone asked him about like switching genres on a later album, and Luke said that they don't worry about like what the genre is. They just like as long as they feel like it's going to resonate with the people that support them. And I think by towing this line and kind of dipping their toes into each pocket of music or genre they have touched, that allows them to not to be a little bit freer and less strict about, okay, we're making a pop album, we're making a rock album, we're making a electronic pop album.
And I think you can also tell that they like music. Like they're
Yes.
I think they're very well balanced, and it feels like it comes from, oh well, I like when that song does this. That's the kind of vibe I want to bring over, but there's
Yeah.
probably like hundreds of little things like that in each song. And I also think as much as you can be cohesive with their fan base, um,
Hmm.
in a way that kind of gives a product that feels not like fan servicey in a bad way, but in like a
Hmm.
this is what we want to make, and we've kind of put it as close to what you want to hear from us as possible. And then 3 long years after Sounds Good Feels Good, or to some of us 4 years since the first album came out because we didn't know about the second one. Um, what honestly I do believe is Five Sauce piece de resistance. Like
Yeah,
oh,
they did their big one here.
they really did. It was June 2018 that it came out, which would have been the summer we graduated high. No, it would have been the summer after we graduated high school, the summer before our second year of college. Okay.
Ellen and I were locked in like this by then. Okay,
We were?
it was embarrassing how quickly
That's so
that
crazy.
happened. We used to walk around and people would be like, "Oh, how long have you known each other?" And we'd be like, "I don't know, like 6
2 days.
months."
I remember listening to this album in our dorm and being sad that I didn't have friends. And it's crazy that we were already friends.
Yeah, I think you know what happened is I think, well, I'll tell you from my perspective. I was a sad, lonely little girl. I talk about this all the time. Okay, I don't know what having friends is like. I didn't know what having friends was like. So like in my head, we were friends, but I was so used to like assuming the other person didn't like me or didn't like me as much. So I was like, well, Eleanor's my friend, but I'm not really dealing with that right now because
Yeah.
whatever.
There's also a level of like, I wasn't going to be the first person to tell you I listened to 5 Seconds of Summer. I wasn't going to bring that up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember us talking about it. I think just one day, one of like we had to have been like listening to the song, and the other person was like, "Oh, I like this song," and then that was us becoming fans of 5 Seconds of Summer is the same way that Eleanor and I became friends. One day we weren't, and then all of a sudden it was 3 years later.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's been there forever.
Yeah,
Um, with Youngblood, which is ugh, their best work. I don't know if it's their best work, but it is their best work. It came
I think
at
as
the
a collective,
perfect time. The singles were Want You Back, Youngblood, Valentine, and then Lie to Me featuring Julia Michaels, which we don't have to talk about. It went #1 in Australia and the US. Um, every single one of their albums up to this point, and I believe up until today, but don't quote me on that one, debuted at #1 in Australia. Um, I think they consistently became #1 in the US. I think they did it the most as a band, but I'm not sure. Um, but definitely Australian bands are top in the US. But again, that's because there's like none that have made it over here. Um, Anyway, I found a quote from Mr. Luke, and he was talking about how he thought it was cool that Fall Out Boy came back with Save Rock and Roll. That was kind of their comeback album, and how it had a very bold title. And he basically was talking about how they approached this album as kind of a way to reinvent themselves after a break, which, while there was only 3 years in between their latest album and Youngblood, that's quite a long amount of time,
yeah.
especially where we were in kind of the early 2010s. Like One
Hmm.
Direction, Taylor Swift, most big artists, or at least the ones that were in my realm, were giving you an album a year, an album every 18 months. So 3 years felt like forever. Um,
And I think coming off of being popular but not quite at that global level, like not they weren't quite the top, they were getting there. But like whereas Fall Out Boy, like if you're using the Fall Out Boy example Luke's using here, coming back, Fall Out Boy was like again the Fall Out Boy is Fall Out Boy.
mhm.
Fall Out Boy had been putting out music for so long and had, I feel like, so many more top #1 moments than 5 Seconds of Summer did. So it was a bold choice. Very clearly worked for them.
And what an album. All right. We're back with a favorite. Another underground queen. This favorite was only released on the Target exclusive version of Youngblood and also presumably on YouTube. Every member of the band plus 3 non-5 sauce people wrote this song. I'm gonna let Miss Kalina take it away.
Thank you. Also, typically when we do first, latest, greatest, we do one for each. Like, Eleanor gets one favorite song, I get one favorite song. But for this, I felt like we had to go with more than that because one, I thought I knew what Eleanor's favorite song was. Eleanor threw a wrench in my plans. Eleanor very clearly knew what my favorite song was. So I felt like that wasn't fair. We weren't really coming at it with fresh eyes, so we had to have a second. And also, it's kind of hard to pick. I think we have honorable mentions as well, which we chit chat about later. But we have When You Walk Away off the Target exclusive, which I don't know why this like I don't know how long their exclusive deal is, but I feel like it should be on streaming by now. Okay, it's been 10 years, well, almost 10 years.
Go to Target.
Okay, just go to YouTube. It's easier. It's fine. Um, what can I say about this song? One, every song we have liked, Callum Hood and Luke have written on, so keep that in mind for later. This is their grooviest song. This song starts, and I just want to like it's there's just some nice bass in there. It's just groovy. That's the only way I can describe this. Their grooviest song. I wish every song they made sounded like this. I love Callum Hood. Thank you. This is the first song I think out of the ones we've talked about that they didn't let breathe. So like I talked about, they come in, the song starts, Luke is singing right away. It says, "Cut me open, take my heart, say we'll never be apart." But it's not like a lot of instruments happen in the back. He says a couple lines, then we come in fully with our bass and our rhythm section and everything. They do something in the song that Eleanor and I really like. We talk about it a lot. Is when you have a sentiment in the first verse, and then in the second verse we've kind of flipped it on its head a little bit. I think Hosier does this a couple times. The example in When You Walk Away is in the first verse. Luke says, "My karma got the best of me." And in the second verse, Callum says, my karma got the worst of me," which I think is really cool how they flipped it, because it's still the same sentiment as like their karma kind of put them in a bad position. They didn't put out good stuff, so like they're getting it back. But in one, it got the best of them, and in one, it got the worst of them. "I'm so bad at letting go. How do you make it look so easy?" I could listen to just that part of the song for till the end of time. Again, Michael Clifford, what are you doing? Why? It's not fair that you sound like that. It makes my heart hurt. I got to this song and I was like, Michael might be my favorite vocalist in the band, respectfully. It's just something about him. Like I'm not like he's not the strong. I think Luke's like a stronger vocalist on paper, but Michael's just like, it's got a little bit of a rasp. It's got a clean tone. He knows what he's got. Also, he says in the chorus they say, "Bad at letting go, won't you let me down easy?" And then we get to the bridge and Michael's saying, "I'm so bad at letting go. How do you make it look so easy? How do you make it look so easy?" And he's sad and he's angry and he's full of despair and he's like, "But I'll take you back still. It's okay."
All right. And then,
do you have any When You Walk Away thoughts?
No, it is very possible that I forgot to listen to it, and then I went to Apple Music to find it, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on a YouTube kick.
You really are. All right, and now we've got self-titled again. This self-titled album is called Calm. You got one letter for each of the boys, and
I think they should have gone with Clam, personally.
Well, they're saving that.
Okay.
No, you don't understand.
That's 5 Sauce 7.
Once this is gonna be like 5 Sauce, like 13, 14. They've run out of money. They need to do like a Margaritaville Bubba Gump Shrimp Factory. They really have to save the band. And how else do you save a band than a seafood restaurant with an accompanying seafood themed album?
I'm so sorry, but like 5 Seconds of Summer seafood themed restaurant just sounds so up my alley.
Right? It's gonna work.
I would be seated. They could have a young blood margarita.
They could.
So, it's a young Bloody Mary.
There we go.
God, hire me, please. I have ideas. I'll work for real cheap if you're out of money.
You need to start. You need to at least start higher.
No. As long as you feed me at the seafood restaurant and like maybe bring me out for one show in a different country. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. With a +1. I do great work on Canva.
That is true.
This album cover could have been made on Canva, respectfully. It's a photo of them. They're lying, their eyes are closed, their heads are next to each other. We have put calm across the top, 5 sauce, parental advisory sticker, and I could find all of those things on Google in about 20 seconds.
You really could. I mean, I found this album cover on Google in like 20 seconds.
Oh my god, I'm so proud.
The singles off of this album, honestly, I think this is the best they've done choosing singles. Easier, Teeth, No Shame. And I just want to take a second for us all to acknowledge, I don't even know what song it is where they tied up in the cave, but I've seen that video a bunch of times.
I think it's Easier from the Vault. Teeth from the Vault also hits.
I want to see more boys tied up in caves. Thank you so much.
You know what? Well, their latest, I think he could have done with being tied to a ceiling in this one. All of them, actually.
Agree.
That would have worked.
This is also, unfortunately, the first album not to debut at #1 in the US. It did debut at #2. So this came out in March 2020, Calm did. And something got messed up with, I believe, the album coming out. The date had to be changed. But also, there were albums sent out earlier than they were supposed to be, which I imagine might have affected the ratings in a way and attributed some sales to like the week before. But also, love you, 5 Sauce. It was March 2020. We had bigger things to worry about. The quote I pulled for this is Luke talking about how the album feels or speaks on a journey through a young man's life. And Calm leaves the band in a much happier, unified, and calm state of mind to continue making albums for years to come. Which again, 5 Sauce is about friendship. I think Calm is a good growth on Youngblood, and I think the kind of Youngblood to Calm jump is I don't know. I think like the 5 Sauce to Sounds Good Feels Good, I think they felt in a similar direction, but now that we have other albums that, even though those were kind of cohesive together, doesn't really seem like it's where that they were headed. I think Youngblood was the album where we were like, okay, yes, this is what they can do. This is who they are now. I think Calm kind of just grew on that, and it wasn't a big departure. But even listening through their discography, Sounds Good, Feels Good to Youngblood wasn't a crazy jump, sonically. But I think Youngblood is just so much better.
I think Youngblood was the perfect balance, as you mentioned earlier, of what they wanted to make as music and what we would listen to. Again, like with the debut in #1 versus Calm, I think Calm was less, I'd say, radio friendly, commercially friendly. Like, even if you think about the singles, I think they're really strong singles. I love Easier and Teeth, but compared to the singles off Youngblood, I can see why that's not as commercially popular. But I think we're moving in a good, I think they have always had a very clear and solid sound and like defined sound, but now it feels more authentic almost.
Yeah. I didn't listen
Callum Hood has blue hair.
Oh yeah, Callum Hood has blue hair, which he should be doing. Thank you so much.
Sorry. I just remembered. I think this is around the time Elanor would tell me, I hate that you're right about Callum Hood, because I have been 10 toes down for Callum Hood for
from
years.
The start.
Okay? I think around this time also we got blonde Callum Hood, which we all know how I feel about blondes. There's only 2 of them I like. It's Elanor and Callum Hood.
What a list. After Calm came out, we had our first foray into what band? 5 Seconds of Summer solo endeavors.
One Direction was not.
They were not doing very good at this time. The first person to put out something solo was Ashton with Super Bloom.
Which I was surprised. If I had to peg any of them for a solo album, I definitely would have gone Luke first.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that this existed until I was making this PowerPoint. To be fair, I had some other things to focus on.
Yeah, we had some things going on. Then we've got When Facing the Things We Turn Away From.
Mm-hmm.
In 2021, Mr. Hemmings. I feel like I had a point of something I wanted to share, but it has left my mind.
Okay.
So we will move on swiftly.
All right. So a year after Luke Hemmings' solo work, 2 years after Calm, which is back to that shorter gap between works, but not much shorter, we get 5 Sauce 5, which is, again, another self-titled album. The singles off of this one they had quite a few singles. I did see an interview where they talked about how they might have wanted to release half of the album in single form, which I think is a good strategy. We're now in 2022, so the music industry has changed. Everything has the landscape is just entirely different. But I think I pulled out just the pre-album singles for this list. So Complete Mess, which is a song I don't remember. Take My Hand, which is a song I kind of remember. Me, Myself, and I, which is a song I know. Blender, which was in one of my top favorites for a while. It did almost make that. And then Older, which is a song I don't think I know. I think
I'm a reformed 5 Sauce 5 hater. But because I did not like it when it came out, I think I could only tell you Red Desert's on here, right?
No. Red Desert is on Calm.
Nope. Don't know a single song on this album. Just kidding. I know one song on this album because Elanor likes it.
Yes. The quotes I pulled, one is from Michael, where he talks about how this is kind of their self-titled album re-released, which I do think very much is true. I think this whole album kind of feels like a recentering.
Yeah.
In an interesting kind of way. And also Luke thinks that it's the most lyrically beautiful album they've made so far, and there's so much heart in it, which I think is true. I do wish the heart came with some a
bass line.
like bass, some electro kind of funk, but
I hate that I don't like this album because I agree. I think they have grown consistently. I think objectively it's a good album. Like, I understand why people like it. I understand why it's commercially successful. I like a little bass line. I like a little groovy sort of underground gritty sound, and that album just doesn't have it for me. Lyrically, however, yes, I will say this is some of their best work. If I could remember more than one song, but the one song I do remember hits. Also, I think they are not primarily, but they write a lot of love songs. When you're 16 in a boy band, I use the word boy band very loosely, don't worry, but when you're 16 and in a boy band, yeah, you're gonna write a love song. That's probably what's consuming your mind. That's what's going to appeal to audiences. We're still trying to get our name out there, but I think as we get older, we get to look at they get to explore themes beyond love, and they do explore a lot of themes of relationships and that can relate back to love. But something I wrote down for one of these songs is as they get older, they also, even if they're looking at a romantic relationship, they look at it in less black and white terms. So I take a Heartbreak Girl or Out of My Limit sort of vibe. It's very much like the onus is on the other person, like, you did this to me, or like, you don't like me because I'm too young for you, or you broke my heart in this. Like, it's always on the other person. Whereas I think as they get older, we get to see some nuance. They're like self-reflecting more. So even if it is, oh, this relationship ended, it's here's where I was wrong, here's where you went wrong, this is this space in the middle that we exist in now. And because they're able to self-reflect in those romantic songs, I think they can then write songs, which a lot of 5 Sauce 5 I feel like write songs that are just about them, not so much in a romantic setting. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad you had time to talk on your podcast. Like Kalina said, we picked 2 favorites. I got a little neurotic about it because I've been thinking about this for a long time. I picked like my favorite as in the one I enjoy the most, and then I picked my favorite as in, I don't know, one, well, A, that I enjoyed, and also that I felt was like the Five Sauce song, and like showcased what I think they do well.
Sorry, I'm looking at your bullet points.
The song I grabbed is off of Five Sauce Five, which is an album that I also don't think I say I would like, or don't think I would say I like. But it's called Best Friends, and it was written by everybody in the band, plus Brian Logan Dales, who, well, he's actually, I know this one.
I know him too. Excuse you.
Oh,
I think
well,
he's
is
right in
he
the middle of our
from Florida?
our two scenes.
Because he's from Arizona.
Guess what? I'm gonna torture you when it comes to my birthday episode just for that.
You
gonna be real
already
nice to
were.
him. No, I wasn't. I picked one. I talked about my brother. I was like, I gotta be nice to Eleanor. To be fair, don't let Eleanor listen to 3 hours of screaming. But my mind's changed a little bit now.
I'll read a Wikipedia page and fudge my way through anything. Anyway, Best Friends is about how being friends is so much fun and everybody loves having friends.
What if the real best friends were the friends we made along the way?
Yeah. That is my review of this song, is what if the real best friends were the friends we made along the way. I think it really just speaks to the heart of what Five Sauce wants to do, which is have fun and, you know, make music with your friends. But I think placing it on this album was very smart because the rest of the album is kind of like Kalina talked about, a very like, well, I'm a fully grown adult now and I do have feelings and I do make decisions that have consequences. But what it comes down to in life is I live for that look on your face and I love to love you, for God's sakes. And what a song. Wish it was real.
It, for me, best friends is also like you said. So like, yes, actions have consequences. That's kind of like a good theme in the rest of the album. And in this one is like, but sometimes the consequences are good. Sometimes I make friends, and I think it's very. I think I've seen this a lot, especially as now that all four of them have done solo stuff. But even when like they first, like Ashton and Luke started putting out their stuff, they got asked a lot, is like, will you come back to the band? Like, what allowed, like, how do you feel so comfortable? Because so many bands try to do solo stuff and it doesn't work out, or like just bands just fall apart usually by now. They've been together for like 15-ish years. A lot of bands, especially, and even like older bands in terms of like chronological age of the members, fall apart by now, and they haven't. And I think something they all say is because at the end of the day, we want to we're friends. That's the most important to us, and we just like want it to do well. We want the band to do well because we love doing it together. And I think it's very rare to find a friend like that, like to find someone who, let alone like three someones who they get you, and like, no, everything you do in life falls back on the fact that you're friends first. And I can't look at Eleanor when I say this. Eleanor is my 5 seconds of summer. It's just, it's nice. I think that's also not 98% of my enjoyment of 5 seconds of summer is I think they make good music and I like the music they make. 2% of my enjoyment is, yeah, that's how I feel when I get to do things with Eleanor,
Moving on.
So, some solo work, all right?
Solo
Timeline.
work, part 2. We're all adults
Here's my
here.
note.
The Luke Hemming ones is an EP. He put out an EP called Boy, where for some reason he's reheating Troye Sivan's nachos.
Yeah, it looks like something, like, not in a bad way, but it does look like something I've seen before.
Yes. We also have Blood on the Drums by Ashton Irwin, which I think is an album. Didn't know about this either. This is the first time I know I put this together. This is the first time I'm seeing Michael Clifford's album art, and I think it's hilarious.
It's cute. Like, I like it, but it's crazy.
And Callum Hood looks like he's 2 feet tall.
Leave him alone, okay?
They shrunk him in there.
Luke's and Ashton's book came out in 2024. I just wanted to make this point about Ashton Irwin because, as we all know, I love the Eagles. They're wonderful and fantastic. the band. Um, a driving force in the Eagles is Don Henley, who's their drummer. I was gonna say drum player. That's not right. Their
Their
drummer.
drummist, yes.
Their drummist, if you will. And Don Henley is a rare drummer in the sense that he sings, and he's like a lead vocal on a lot of songs. And Ashton Irwin reminds me of him. It's very hard, I think, to sing and play drums at the same time from every other drummer I have seen and heard from. But I think Ashton Irwin does it really well. Don Henley has solo work. Ashton Irwin has solo work.
Okay, all right. A few weeks ago, between 2 and 4, based on when this comes out, Five Sauce released a new song and also announced a new album. So their latest song is called Not Okay, and it is a song that I'm gonna let Kalina talk about first.
The first thing I want to talk about with this is not the song, but the aesthetics that
Yes,
5 Seconds of
thank
Summer
you.
has employed. Okay? Luke Hemmings comes out. His hair is in, what are they called? Victory spikes for some reason. Just real spiky. First of all, I didn't even know Luke Hemmings had that much hair on his head.
Me either.
Shocked. Okay? Callum Hood's got this like green, blue leopard print sort of thing happening. He does have a rat tail, which I have thoughts about, but it's Callum Hood, so I'm willing to ignore them. Ashton, respectfully, looks the same. He didn't really commit to the aesthetic change, but that's okay because we love and respect everybody
Yes, we
and
do.
their choices. Michael has brought back the red hair again. Another band member I didn't realize had that much hair on his head. He's really living up to the Clifford name, just in both the best and worst way, you know? And unfortunately for Eleanor and I,
It
it
works.
all works really well.
It works so well. Luke's in a
Not
skirt.
okay.
I was a little worried about Not Okay because I'd heard the everybody jump part and then just the hey I'm not okay part about 2 billion times a day from TikTok. And it made me worried about the rest of the song because there are quite often things just don't stand up to the 10 seconds on TikTok. But I listened to it in full this morning and I quite enjoyed it.
I really like this. I'm thinking about, he says, in the chorus, the darker side of me, that part of me comes out to play when I'm with you. And so kind of going back to that, we're growing, we're introspective. It's I mean, yeah, it's introspective. Sorry, I'm trying to think of my words here. I know what I'm trying to say in my mind. Sometimes artists do
I
strange things, but if they commit to the bit, it works.
Yeah, I think that this is I don't think it's necessarily a well, I think it is a revamp. I think it's another rebrand.
Mm-hmm.
This first song, I think there are other songs from this project out because I believe they played them live, but this is the only song that has been like formally released. I think it also
Yeah.
sits where it's just a few, I don't know, factors more and kind of harder, if you will, than a few
Yeah.
other Five Sauce songs. Like, there are definitely Five Sauce elements, but you can tell where, I mean, hopefully where they're going to be straying for this album. And I think this kind of very edgy rebrand makes the song seem further away from what Five Sauce has been. Do I think that this album is going to be an entirely new genre for them? No, I think it's going to be what they've done, but a little bit more, a little bit edgier, probably a little bit more unified as a sound because I think
Mm-hmm.
Five Sauce 5 got a little scattered sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think if they're viewing this as some sort of rebrand, which they are with their marketing, it's a very strong start, both with Not Okay as a song and the visuals that they've started with. And I think I'm excited.
I think they're gonna give us like a heavier Youngblood. How we talked about earlier, Youngblood was like a very clear departure while still in line with like a sounds good, feels good, and then everything after that was kind of in the same zeitgeist. I feel like this is their next big step. I also think Eleanor and I chatted about this a little bit because I think objectively, and if we were meaner people, but we're not nice, we're nice, lovely young ladies. Um, we're like, oh my god, why is this 30-year-old man have bright red hair? He has a child. You know, Luke Hemmings, what are you doing? You also have a child. You know, like we're grown adults now. But I thought about it, and Ellen and I were talking about it, and like, how many artists have had a phase, early 30s, or like, you know, this many albums into their lifespan, where you're like, oh, it's kind of cringe that you're doing that. So I do think it's just a key part of like, as you get older, you just kind of get you kind of got to get like both back in touch with the stuff you used to like that you probably ditched because you thought it was juvenile or cringe or whatever, but at the same time being so much more confident because you've had so many more years that you're like, it's authentic in a way it wasn't before. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'm
Kind of like how like
actually
I kind of yes.
Oh, sorry. Remember earlier when I said I thought about something mean that I was going to save till the end? You actually touched on points that make it relevant for me to bring up. So thank you so much. I saw an Instagram bio the other day, and it said like 30-year-old teen mom or something like that. And I do think that we live in a culture where once you become a parent, especially like once you get married a little bit, but once you are a married parent, people don't expect you to be cool anymore. And I think it's worse for women. But I do think that really the only band I know of, there are more, but like the only band that I know, because again, I only know 3 bands, Fall Out Boy's Save Rock and Roll, I think was kind of their comeback album. And I think it came out, if I'm remembering like the timeline of their band correctly, it was their first big venture after everybody like had kind of become adults, if you will. And Save Rock and Roll, I mean, was a absolutely fantastic album from Fall Out Boy, and I think it really re-cemented their place. And I don't think that the need to like fully re-cement your place is where Five Sauce is in the zeitgeist, if you will, to borrow Kalina's word. But I think that
That's a great word.
they could feel like that because, I mean, what, half of them have kids now. They're kind of coming back from solo stuff in a way. So I think this could really be that kind of reunification of who they are now, or who they think, how they think they've changed.
They're simultaneously in very different phases of life, but at the same phase of life because they've done so much of life together. So I really think those solo albums were kind of the key to like flip the switch, you know? They've all explored that artistic side of themselves individually. They all already knew what they brought to the band, but like I said earlier, I think as an audience, listening to their solo stuff, we're going to get a clearer idea of what each member brings to the band. But now that they've all gotten to evolve that individually, even if they weren't going for a rebrand, this next album would have sounded different because they, I think for the first time, evolved at the same rate individually. Whereas like before, 2 of them did solo stuff, so 2 of them had some evolution individually, but all the rest of the evolution was collective.
And are you excited for it?
Yes, I'm listening to Not Okay in my headphones right now. Great song.
To wrap up, I think, yeah, this is the last little thing I want to touch on. So Kalina can see this, you can't see this. I think Five Sauce started as not a boy band that was also a boy band. And the photo that Kalina can see, that maybe we'll put on the screen for you guys to see, but probably not, is a picture from one of their first Rolling Stone interviews. I think they had a cover. It's when they actually
Were all naked?
Yeah, they were all naked with writing. And this is just another still from that same interview where they're only in their boxers. 2 of them are on the roof about to jump into a pool. Michael's playing the guitar by the pool. And it's very like, I don't know, it feels pop punk. We're going to break into a fancy house and dishevel it with our being reckless teenager-ness. And then the other photo is from their latest album rollout, also from Rolling Stone, where it looks like they're in the same outfits they're in on the album cover, just sitting on a couch. And it's a very big vibe shift, I would say.
Just one thing I really like about this second, like the new stuff and like the aesthetic, is it's very like big. Again, the album title's Everyone's a Star, but like they're wearing big shoes. The last photo Eleanor had and a lot of the marketing they've done is like it's normal sized bodies, but their heads are large. But it's like big shoes. Like you said, Luke's wearing a skirt, but it's like not just like it's like a big, like it's big things. They have like a lot of layers on. So I really like that visually we've committed to this. This is a larger, bigger, better thing, which the the sound of Not Okay and the title Everyone's a Star gives.
Mm-hmm. Very big bobblehead ass songs.
I personally think more men should be in large boots.
I do as well, and I also think that it straight up just looks like Luke is wearing moon boots. Anyway, I think one of the questions that has plagued Five Sauce for their entire time is whether or not they're a boy band. Um, I think there were arguments for boy band in their early years. I think there were arguments against boy bands the whole time. But I do think that either way, if you really are truly invested in the fact that they are or are not a boy band, you might be a misogynist and you should take a look at that. I do think it's very clear with Five Sauce. I mean, they're directly not they're what their new out merch says your favorite boy band on it. Like they've kind of
Yeah.
embraced.
They said, all right,
Yeah.
watch this. And it's
Yeah.
like the least boy band sounding song
I
I've ever
mean,
heard. I think for me they've never been a boy band, and one reason I think that is because I think a big thing with language is not even how it, especially with like how quickly we have slang and how quickly language changes nowadays. I think a big thing is not what the paper definition of the word is, but it's really important to consider how that word is used. So I don't think 5 Seconds of Summer are a boy band, partly because I think you have to give a clear definition for a boy band, because otherwise you're just going to call every group that's all men a boy band, and that's a lot of groups. So like to me a boy band is like they don't play instruments, they just sing, they dance on stage, which is an important role in art, like the artistic space, you know, because they don't because they play their instruments, and especially because they write so much of their own stuff, and just the evolution their music has taken, I wouldn't qualify them as a boy band for that reason. One, two, I can see where the argument for them in their early years being a boy band was made, but I think they were purely a boy band in terms of marketing, just to get it out there. Because if you didn't change anything they did musically, but just changed how we perceived it in the sort of like change the tour they went on, but like just change the marketing of those albums, that I don't think that boy band argument ever would have been made.
thank you. I completely disagree. I don't
You were
completely
listening too
disagree.
intently to be on the same
I
page.
I agree with the bones of some of what you said. I personally don't think a boy band, the term, has. I think it has more to do with how they're perceived more than like the actual content that the band is putting out. However, I do agree that they were marketed as a boy band. I think kind of the primary thing is their entanglement with One Direction, but it's
Yeah.
also, I think, the fandom that they grew, which part of the reason they grew the fandom that they grew is because they were exposed to the mass of One Direction's fandom. I mean, I don't think anybody would call the Beatles a boy band right now, but the Beatles started, I would argue, as a boy band because they had
Yeah.
like kind of that teen girl frenzy. Five Sauce had that teen girl frenzy, but I don't think they make boy band music. And so,
I agree. I see the how they're perceived argument. I think in my definition, it's like in a perfect world, we're not misogynists.
oh yes, in a perfect
And we're
world, that
not
is true.
in a perfect world, we're not misogynists, and so the definition of what makes a boy band, what makes a pop punk band, like it's based solely on what the artist is creating and not how they are marketed and digested by us, or encoding and decoding
Hmm.
argument, if you will. It's about how they're encoded, not how they're decoded.
I think there is a world where that is true. Unfortunately, we do live in a world of misogyny. But either way, I don't think they are currently a boy band. And I think that if you think they're worse off because they're a boy band, you actually are the problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do some internal work. Come back to us. Speaking of coming back to us, we've been here for a little while. We do not have time for fun facts. I love 5 Seconds of Summer. I love Elanor. I love Callum Hood. The order of those things depends on the day.
Yes. I love Kalina, and I love when you check us out on Instagram and TikTok and wherever else we are. And by we, I mean it's totally not just Kalina. And we will be back maybe next week, maybe not, with something just as funny, hopefully.
Oh, and check out all our new logos. My lovely friend Kaya, check her out if you want stuff made, but she made us some new logos because we're 103 episodes in now, I think. If you have any recommendations for anything we can talk about, anything media, we will do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't quote me on that. Is not okay. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't quote me on that. One day we will have an outro, but it's not today.